Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on what part of the world you're joining us from. Wow, great by grace, you are our first joiner. Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Welcoming everybody who is joining us today. My name is Brenda Unu, and my guest has joined. Yay! See, we're going to have an amazing, amazing time. I'm excited to have you guys. Such early birds. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Welcome. So, since we have early birds, let's just get right into it. Right into it. Right into it. Welcome, people. Welcome, everyone. So, what are we talking about today? Women in C-suite positions, how to aspire for it and how to get there. What do you think? When you find women who are just, balling, top of their game. I mean, there's one lady I follow on Instagram. Every time I see her post, I'm like, God, when? you know? Today we're going to know how. We're going to know how to get to your God win faster than if you just sat down wringing your arms. My guest is Mrs. Foles. Her name is Mofoluke Adegbite. She's a badass lawyer. I'm always so proud of her. Every time I tell everybody about my friend, my big boss friend. Today she's going to be talking to us. Let me invite her very quickly so that we can get right into it. Sent you an invite. If you see it, please join us. Welcome, welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you guys. We don't waste time in our own lives. We get right into it. We don't waste time, waiting for people to join. Whoever is serious will join us because we start at the dot of 6:00. If we're too late, 6:02. If my clock is a little later than yours. So, oh, there she is. Yay! Thank you. My friend, big babe. Even the smile you're using to greet us today. How are you doing? Big babe. So let's give her a few minutes to settle down, to find the right spot in her house so that she can join us. I'm sure it's not easy getting off work on time to just be here for us to teach us today. Like we said, our theme for this year is flourishing, is blooming. Who has seen my post on Lawyer Don't Reach a Find Trouble? Behave yourself. So, our theme for the year is blooming. It's all about blooming. It's all about flourishing. And how do you bloom? How do you flourish? Some people have aspirations. Some people have big dreams. We're going to show you how to make your big dreams come true. Yeah, there she is.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. And we can see you as well. You look like, so a sight for sore eyes.
Gas me up.
Glad to have you here today. Welcome.
Pleasure.
Your naughty sisters are starting looking for trouble in the chat.
I'm not green for them.
No grief for anybody this year. No, in fact, as a matter of fact, that's a good way to start the life. This year, we're not green for anybody. If you want anything, go for it. And we're going to be talking about how to go for those big positions that just looks like it's reserved for a select few. It's ordinary people like you and I. You know how your mother used to tell you when you're small, that person that carried first, do you have two heads? This is time when that conversation is very apt. Those people in those big positions, do they have two heads? No, they don't. So this year we are not going for anybody.
Yeah.
Mofolu, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Thank you, Brenda. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's my first live.
Oh my God. Yay! That's exciting. I love it. So it's your first life. I love it. Man. In fact, when I was picking this topic, I was saying that I didn't even know that you had posted, that post you had made. When you're talking about that, I made a post. I got a lot of comments. Like, which post? And I said, let me not show myself that I've not read the post. I ran to go and look for the post. That's was like, oh wow. And there I was, as soon as I wrote down that topic, your name just came to mind as Mofolu is the person for this topic. I was like, if you don't even agree, I'll beat you to agree. Only for you to say you had made a post. I was like, Mofolu that is private made a post. You see how Holy Spirit when you want to do something. When you want to do something, it already does the groundwork. You just follow. So welcome.
Thank you.
You can believe you've been sent to us by God. So please open up. First time live from Ofolo. Give her a round of applause in the chat. Everybody, let's
Thank
gas
you.
her up.
I need it.
So today it's going to be a conversation, right? No questions
Okay.
and answers. We're just going to flow with it. So as much as we can, I'll try and give some leading
Yeah.
questions, and you can feel free to dive us in any direction. You are the one on the seat today. Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, I just wanted to ask you. Tell us a little bit of what you do. What do you do
Okay.
presently?
Okay. Briefly, I'm a lawyer. I trained as a lawyer and I studied in Nigeria, Ogun State University, where I
Wait,
got my first.
hold on. She went to school in
I went
Nigeria.
to
Are you hearing?
school.
So it's not one fancy university. I told you these people that are there, they don't have 5K. Please continue.
Thank you. So I went to SU where I got my first degree, and then I went to law school in Abuja. I finished law school in 2007. I was called to bar in 2007. And then, like everybody else, I studied in Nigeria. I did my NYSC, and then I also have a master's degree in international business law from the University of Hull, the UK. And ever since then, I've always been a lawyer. So that's all I know. I've always worked as a lawyer or in compliance, but mostly law. And so I currently work for a company called Japan Tobacco International. It's called JTI. It's a multinational and it's present in about 120 countries globally.
Hey, God, when?
Wait now, calm down.
Okay. I'm calm.
I've been with the company for 7 years now, a little over 7 years. But the first almost 7 years of my career at JTI, I worked as first legal manager and then legal director for Nigeria and West Africa, which meant that I was supporting 12 countries, including Nigeria, for a period of almost 7 years. And so recently, well, maybe not so recent, in May of last year, 2023, I got moved to our headquarters here in Switzerland, Geneva. Here,
See, wait. We have to insert drum roll for this place. Like, you don't just drop it like that, just
don't
casually.
be angry.
Excuse me. Insert drum roll. And Sunshine, give me some drum roll in the comments. She just moved to Switzerland. Please tell us.
So yes, I currently work in the legal function at the headquarters, but my personal designation is I work as a legal director supporting corporate sustainability, corporate communications, and corporate sustainability. It's a mouthful, but yeah, I got that in.
Give us, we can take it.
I got that in. Yeah,
I love it.
thank
So
you.
tell me, how did you jump? I mean, legal director, even controlling Nigeria and West Africa, it's not a small deal.
It is quite big, yeah.
You know, it's not a small deal. But how do you jump from that to global? Like a level, how do you go to end up
Okay,
these things?
so I guess that's the purpose for our live today, to share my story. I think for me, I've been very deliberate about my career, and I think it stems from my mom. Watching my mom. My mom was a banker, and when I say the story, people never believe. My mom actually did not go to the university. Her parents had 10 children, and she was the seventh. So I'm sure by the time they had them, they were tired and they didn't have a lot of money. But my mom, one thing I would say for my mom is she's very resilient, she's very hardworking, and she's very dogged. And I picked that up very early on in my life. And so her route to her career and her success is very interesting because despite not going to university, she actually did secretarial studies, and from there she started doing professional courses like ICANN, ACCA. She got a master. She got, and by the time she retired, she actually decided, you know what, I'm done. I don't have any child in school anymore. I don't want to work anymore. She was at the peak of her career. So for me, that has always been a huge inspiration, and I've always seen that there's no impossibilities, all in your mind. You can actually do anything. You can make the biggest thing out of the smallest things you have. Absolutely. And so for me, I've always been career orientated. I've always wanted to, just have a nice career, be at the forefront, be valuable, be seen as a person of value, and make my stand, in the career and the professional world. So although I studied law, I knew at the beginning that I never wanted to practice law. I never wanted to go to court. Still practice law, but
I
not go to
know.
court.
I know that feeling.
A lot of my classmates in uni, they're very argumentative. They're always talking and debating issues, and I'm always the time like, what are these ones? I'm
People,
a lawyer,
you are the
but
one that the
like, I'm
courts
not
are
about
for.
that life.
You are the one the courts are for.
Please,
Please
please,
knock
please,
yourselves out.
But I gave it a shot. I still, tasted it. I tried it. I went to court. I served
Mm,
in a core law firm, and I
okay.
knew that it was not for me.
Well, that's what they like
And
for you.
yeah, but what was interesting was that firm was specializing in court appearances, where they say you're practicing
Mm.
law, and solicitors. So they were practicing as a barrister and as a solicitor, because in Nigeria you're trained to do either. You can't do both together, but you can
Oh,
do
okay.
either at any point in
Yeah,
time.
okay.
So I knew,
Please help me. For those of us that are not learned, what's the difference? We always used to say barrister and
yes,
solicitor. For the life of me, I never knew there was a difference, and I never
yes.
knew you cannot do
You,
both.
you
So
cannot do
please
both. A barrister is,
educate us.
is a lawyer that goes to court, basically goes to court and
Oh,
makes appearances on behalf of clients, and
okay,
basically just goes to court wearing a wig
okay,
and gown in Nigeria.
okay.
A solicitor is myself, someone
Mm.
who still is a lawyer but practices in private practice, meaning in corporate.
Mm.
So you are more of,
All those are lawyers in our offices. They are all solicitors.
yes,
We'll
yes.
be hailing them barrister. They're not really barrister
They are baristas. I mean, they're trained to be
because when it comes to
baristas.
bar,
If tomorrow they
okay,
decide not to be a solicitor, they can dust their wigs and go back to being a barrister. So
okay,
that option is
okay,
always there. So,
okay,
yeah.
okay. I get it.
So I tried it. I gave it a shot, but because the firm was also two pronged in their approach, I moved and gravitated towards the solicitor's part more. And
Okay.
so I started to see that, one, the pay wasn't good. The experience is super. The experience is super, but the pay was not so good. I
Mm.
mean, I like the life, like the nice things in life. So I knew
You like
that
good food.
it would take me like 60 years to get what I want. So I started to research,
Then,
and for me, that's the beginning. That's the beginning of
mm.
everything. Whatever it is you want to do, start to research. What
Please,
do you
those people
want?
that are carrying pen, sorry, pause, please. We have some people helping us to carry pen. Sunshine, please, can you be helping us to describing it? Number one, research, research. So definitely know what
Know
you
what you
want,
want.
right? Just know what
Yes,
you
just
want.
identify
So
what
like
you want
you
to
had a
do.
logic.
Yeah,
Yeah, you had a
sometimes when they
logic, then
say
you
to
can do
you,
anything.
when you go for a work interview and they say to you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Many people just say, I want to be a manager. They don't
Mm.
really think about it. But
Mm.
you need to think about it, because your career is personal to you. You are the
Mm.
driver. It's literally a car you're sitting in. It would not move
Unless
unless you actually
you
drive
tell
it.
it where to go.
And if you
Right.
don't know where you're going, you can actually also drive and drive and
Round
drive around. So you
in
need to
circles.
figure out what you want to do. So for me, I knew I love being a lawyer.
Mm.
I want to use all the experience, the learning, the trainings that I got.
Mm.
I want to work in a company and still do my legal profession, practice my legal profession, but in a professional way, in a way that when I wake up in the morning, I'm still passionate about my job. When I want to go to work, I'm not thinking, I'm going there again tomorrow.
Again.
So I know what you want, basically. I knew what I wanted,
Mm.
and I knew that I wasn't going to get the kind of um, almost like validation or growth
Mm.
that I would want in a law firm. Not that it's not
Mm.
possible, but
Mm.
it will probably take me
It take
longer.
longer.
Yeah, I would invest, maybe have to set up my firm, build up a strong network.
Mm.
So I
Mm.
already identified that, okay, this is one option.
Okay.
Two, are there other options?
Mm-hmm.
Other options. Work for global companies. Do they pay lawyers well? Is there a
Mm-hmm.
chance for a lawyer in the corporate world? Yes. So start to pursue, and that's exactly what I did. And so my first job, before going for my master's, I also worked very briefly in a tech company, and I could see that there's potential for growth. In fact, when I told the chairman that I was going for my master's, he was like, no, bro, because we give you shares. And I'm like, sir, this is a one-man business. You have
Yes.
children. You are definitely not going to give your children's shares to me. I will not get more than salary. It's a one-man business. This is not the life. I
Mm.
love you, but not that much. So
Mm.
I went, for my master's. And so when I came back, my first job was with Dangote Cement. And it's a multinational in a sense. It's present in a number of African countries and even in South America. But it was a good opportunity for me to just learn the rudiments, the foundation, and all of that. And it wasn't a very professional place. I think it's just because of, again, at the end of the day, it's still a one-man business. It had
Yes.
that Niger
Yes.
flavor,
No matter how big they grow.
but it gave me what I needed,
Yes.
doggedness. Because I mean,
Yes.
the legal department was quite huge. So we had about 12 lawyers, and
Oh wow.
the advantages and disadvantages to that. The disadvantage to that, I'll start with the disadvantage, is that if you work in a huge pool of lawyers, if you are not a very committed person and ambitious,
you won't do anything.
you will also hide yourself and just
You
think,
will
you know
hide.
what, let me just
You
collect my
won't get
salary.
anything
I
done.
mean, it's
I know
fine,
that feeling.
you know. But the advantage also is that if you are very ambitious, it's a time
You
for
can put your hand
you,
into
you
it.
will be pushed forward. And so I was the kind of employee that would meet my line manager that, you know what, the basic work we used to do there were called work orders. You review and do a legal review on a work order. And I'd done work orders for like 8 months. And I went to him and said, Guy, I don't want to do work orders anymore. You see those big meetings that you're always going, I want to be in the room. Even if I don't speak. And so again, this is, and which is leading me to the next point, being you have to fight for what you want. Once you identify it, it's not going to come to you. Nobody's going to say, there's one pretty girl here, let's make her this. No. You have
Nobody, no
to,
matter how intelligent you are, you have to fight for what you want.
exactly. You have to,
Who
you have
is
to fight.
writing for us? Number 2, fight for what you want. Okay, I
So
love
yeah,
it.
you need to fight for what you want. You need to speak up. You need to create visibility for yourself. You need to position yourself as a person of value. You can be in a meeting and not say anything. You would not be different from the chairs and the table in the
Absolutely.
meeting room. But it's also not pressure for you to go there and say rubbish, you know.
I
So I
know.
always
You have to
say
be prepared before you
you
go and
have to
ask for
be
it.
prepared. It's like an
Be
interview.
prepared.
Treat every meeting like an interview. Read ahead. Say so. Bring something of value that will make them think. Whenever they think
Look
about that
again.
meeting, you would always come up
Who
like
is
that
that?
girl
Who
said
was that
something.
young girl?
Exactly. So you need to position yourself as a person of value. And here I always say it's okay if you don't know the answers. You also don't have to have all the answers. The worst thing you can do as a professional to yourself is to make up things or say something that doesn't check out or be known as someone that,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know,
I mean, you don't even want to do that.
you don't want to do
It's
that.
easier
So if
to say, I don't know, I will
I'll
research
come
this,
back to you.
come back to
It's
you.
fine. It's not a job interview.
No.
You can always say, you know what, let me double check and come back to you. It's fine. Rather than saying something that's completely wrong or doesn't check out, you
Because they
be
will
able
take
to.
your word for
Yeah,
it, saying that you're a professional. And once it
exactly.
doesn't check out, that cancels you.
Exactly.
So we don't
Exactly.
want to do that.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that's how I started to go to my line manager, and after I did that for a while, and then after 2 years, there was, I don't know about now, but there was such a bad culture at Dangote there that you could be there for 5 years, no promotion, same role, blah blah blah. And because I had put myself in that position of someone who is valuable, after 2 years, I rose to the MD. And that's another thing about me. I'm
Oh,
not
shit.
shy. I'm not shy to ask for what I
No grief
want.
for anybody this year.
But before I ask, I know that I've done my homework. I know that if I write something, they won't flip the paper on my face. Like, who do you think you are, So I wrote to them, and it was very concise. I'm not emotional about it. I introduced myself. My name is blah, blah, blah. I have all of those certifications. I've been working here for so and so and so. I've done so and so and so. I worked on this project. And from when I joined, my salary was such and such. And I believe after 2 years that I need a salary review, I literally just put it on paper and just sent it off. I told my line manager, and then he went, go and try. But I'm sure even when he was telling me to try, he was just looking at
He was
me
ready
like,
to laugh at
let's
you.
go. You will come back and cry to me. So I thought,
Little
okay, what's the worst? And
did he know.
exactly. And I always say this thing as well. What's the worst that can happen?
They'll just say,
Compare it
no.
with the best thing that can happen. So I always just give things a shot. Something good can actually happen. Don't always think in the negatives.
Oh, drum roll, people. Buffalo, wait first, wait first. My head is on, wait, just be calming down first. You're just giving it to us like
Sorry.
that. Why so hard?
Sorry.
When you were saying about working in a firm that has a lot of people, I can totally relate. When I first started my career, I started as in a one-man business, a very small firm that maybe with two architects of, with one other person, one other QS, one other engineer, very small firm, and the advantage at the time was because it was a small firm, I was given a lot to do, right? So it was like there's nobody else to do.
Yes.
Nobody knows
You
what
will
you're
have
doing.
to pick it up.
So I I remember I used to go, my boss was a very good person. He was interested in our growth. So he would take me for meetings, he would take me to project meetings, take me to client meetings. And so I learned all of those things very quickly, just straight out of school. I remember one day I went to a project meeting. It was a big project, as in the biggest I've ever handled. I was just following him. This man did not come. He told me, go, I will meet you. And the next thing he says, I was calling him that the meeting is about to start. I said, okay, so share the meeting.
Got
I was
it.
like, huh? So architects typically at the head of the building. So when there's a project meeting like that, the architect chairs the meeting. In those days when there was no project manager as a role, the architect was typically the project manager. So nowadays now, they brought all these roles now. Project manager is trying to chair meetings. But anyway, at the time, that was the role of the architect. So I chaired the meeting. And if you see the engineers in that meeting, big men, like
Yes.
old
It's such a
men.
male-dominated field as
Do you
well.
understand? And then these
Yeah.
were not old men. I mean, small girl just out of school. My chest was paining me. I was thinking, "Oh, Jesus." My Oga texted me and said, any decision you make, I'll back it. I was like, And I sat down there like, okay, now I'm
Yes.
sharing. But, it was a very good experience for me.
Yes.
That really broke my teeth,
Yes.
handling project meetings.
Yes.
Then I moved to a business that was like very large company. My boss then was coming from America. That how the American firms are with dozens of architects. And I was like, oh wow, I was so excited in BI, I stepped up in life. My sister, the first job they gave me was a gate house. Gate house. You know what gate house is? Security house. I was confused. Like, how can that be a project for me? Master's degree holder. How many years experience? I was not understanding. They now gave me 1 week to do it. In 1 hour, I was back. I said, sir, I'm finished. The guy said, no, don't take your time. This is a drawing list. I said, these people will
The
take my
Nigerian in you
career.
was looking.
I said, no. I can't do this. So I had to, consciously be fighting for work,
Yeah.
consciously be coming back to my
Yes.
manager.
Yeah.
I want something to do because I didn't want to get to that point where I was
Stuck in
just
a rut.
lazy, laid back. And I
Yes.
was there for the experience. And I just had a couple of years I wanted to just get all I could get. And you are not coming to them to do get house. Hello, don't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely relate to what you said about, putting yourself out
Yeah.
there, bringing value,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, it's very important. And just to finish the story, so I wrote the email, I wrote the letter,
Yeah.
and I didn't hear anything for 4 months. Even I forgot at a
Oh,
point.
wow.
I was like, okay. Maybe my boss people sort of hinted, well, okay, let me dust my CV, But guess what happened? About 5 months later, somebody from HR just, called me to their office. I got to the office. The HR director said to me, "Oh, did you write this?" In my head, I'm like, "Are you about to beat me? What's the matter?" You look so sad. And then he burst into, a smile. And then he said, the GM minuted on it. He approved my promotion and backdated it by 1 year.
No
You understand
way!
what that means?
Oh my
The
God, then
incremental
you have a bulk payment of
salary
1
was
year.
backdated by a whole year. So this was first 6 months in. So they first
Oh,
paid. Oh my God!
oh my
Oh my God!
God.
But that was
Oh,
push I needed. That no one believed. No
I
one had ever
know.
done it. No
From
one
that
had
time,
ever.
you were now officially no
My
grief for anybody.
shoulder was released. So for
Wow.
me, it's validated a lot of things to me. Put in the work. People are looking at you, and then I don't want to jump the gun. There's so many things I want to say, but that was for me a defining moment. And so after that, I've always just been decisive. One of the reasons why I also left Dangote was I saw that there was no opportunity for growth.
No way forward.
There was one boss, and he was going to be that boss. And in fact, as at the last time I
You're not going to
checked,
take it.
he's still the boss.
Yeah.
He's still there. So,
Yeah.
unless I kill him, which I cannot do, there is no chance. So these are some of the things when you're at the workplace, these are some of the things you need to look at. You need to look around you. If you might get to the point where you realize this organization is not going to serve me anymore. You need to step out of your comfort zone. So before going to all of this, first of all, I just wanted to quickly describe what C-suite means. C-suite executives. When you say C-suite executives, what does it mean? It's just C. The C in it is chief. It's a senior level of management. Because you have a C-suite, you have the V-suite, you have the D-suite. And a lot of this depends on the organization. It depends on how the structure and how they've decided to label designations. There are some organizations that are very big on using the word C. C. So you have the chief information officer, you have chief marketing officer, you have COO, you have CEO. Some organizations, they are big on V.
Yeah.
It's VP, vice president of these, everybody is vice president. There are some that is D, director. Everybody, all the heads of functions, all the management staff, they're all directors. So it really depends. But the most common balance that is used is the C. And so it is, in as much as it's a very high level in management, it's not the highest. And so for me, there are three things to then note. First is, how do you prepare and qualify to get there? How do you maintain it? It's not easy. You cannot just get there and say, oh yeah, I'm not there. You know, you have to learn how to maintain it. And you also have to prepare to grow. Because as I said, it's not the last layer. Even the CEO of a company still sort of reports to a chairman. It's not, you know, so there's always room for growth. But the C level in management is it's a comfortable place. There's so many benefits, there's so many perks, but it's also not a position that that will be handed to you or you just fall into it. You know, you need to work for it. And so there are a number of skill sets that are required that you will need to have to be able to get to that position. The first one is leadership, honestly. Because when you get to that position, depending on the organization and depending on how large it is, the quantum of brain work that you'll be doing at that time is not as much as supervisory, coordination, and giving sort of like mentorship. So you have to have leadership skills. You have to be able to display maturity at work. And leadership is not by the number of direct reports you have. Leadership is not, oh, I managed 50 people before. If you're not a people's person, if you don't support change management, if you're not flexible, especially in this life that we're living right now,
the VUCA world,
then you are going to struggle. And then the way that the workplace is structured now, there's a new layer, not so new, but maybe in Africa or in Nigeria it's new, but now there's a lot of focus being placed on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so things that were not necessarily played up at the workplace are now being discussed, are being brought in the open. You need to, you know, recognize the rights of a woman being someone who would get pregnant and have children. And this would definitely impact on the time that she's able to come into the business. The business has to be able to factor that in, that she's a woman. But even beyond that now, we now even have companies that have paternity leave as well, because a child does not have one parent, you know, they have two parents. And so things are changing, things are evolving. Imagine saying, oh, you have 50, oh, you're a big boss, you know all of this, but once you see that you're pregnant, direct report your direct report is pregnant, your female direct report, you start getting angry. You start looking for how to sack them. You know, it's a poor leadership quality. You have to be empathetic, you know. So these are some of the things that would come in handy the higher up you go. Your ability to resonate with people, to empathize with them, to help them to go down to their level, you know, is what would speak more rather than because you've already paid your dues, you've done the work.
I get what you're saying, because I remember that the role that I'm currently in, when I was being interviewed, by the time I got to see the CEO, he said to me, he just closed my CV and he's like, so I believe that everything that you've written there is true. And I'm not here to ask you about your qualifications. I'm sure you have them. Tell me about yourself. Tell me, what is it about you that is not written in this CV? Because at that level, they're not interviewing
for technical skills. You know you have it.
They're given that you couldn't have gotten here without those. So now they're not actually interviewing for softer skills, you know, that, you know, see how you're able to position in leadership. So I completely relate with that. Absolutely.
And then the next one is
number one,
leadership.
I'm counting for you.
Is strategic thinking. Strategic thinking. So you can also call it problem solving. And this is what will differentiate a director from an associate, honestly. You can see a problem and already think different. Okay, if you do this, this is what will happen. This is the impact. You're already thinking long term. You're thinking the impact of the business. I can say to you today, if your house burns today, God forbid, what would you do? The average person might say, I would just be crying and I would just do this and I would do that. But the director of everything, okay, so is there anything we can salvage from the house? Do we have insurance that I can call up? Is there like an alternative place I can move into? Are there partnership I can leverage? That is already strategic thinking. That's what sets you apart. You are not focusing on what is in front of you. You're already looking at the big picture. marrying
And
it
how it
to how it
affects
will affect the
everything,
business,
even
how
the
whether
business.
reputationally, all of those things. This is what
Mm.
differentiates you, and that's how when you're able to make these sorts of decisions, where even as a manager or an associate, your boss gives you something, write A, you write A. There will be a difference between that person and someone who they say write A and say, okay, I wrote A because this is what I think but perhaps B could be an option. C actually, I mean, I heard about C last week. That's someone who's thinking strategically. And so these are some of the
Yeah.
skills that you need in that position. The third one is creativity,
Ah, creativity.
especially as a lawyer.
I get.
You have to be
I can
creative.
imagine.
You have to be
Mhm.
creative. I work in the tobacco industry, and tobacco has this sort of I don't know sense. It's illegal. It's unhealthy. It's blah 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 blah. There's so many laws, and it's like a noose. It keeps tightening, tightening, tightening.
Tightening.
But at the end of the day, it's a legal product.
Mhm.
Many countries
There's no law
did
that says you
not
can't sell it.
outlaw
Right.
tobacco. It's a legal
Right.
product. It is being sold based on the
Mm-hmm.
regulations. The government tax it, so meaning they get revenue, they recognize it, it is in their
Mm-hmm.
books. So
Mm-hmm.
when you think about all of this, you have to be creative then, because what you need to identify is, am I working in a legal business? Yes. Is this an NGO? No. It is a profit making
It's a
business.
business.
So you
Yep.
have to be creative in the way that you think. So I'll give an
Mm-hmm.
example. In the tobacco industry, you're not allowed to market, which is fine. We also, as a business, do not market our products because it could be attractive to the young children. You're not supposed to manufacture tobacco using attractive flavors like strawberry, chocolate, because again, it would appeal to children.
That are
So,
children.
but this is where creativity comes in. We cannot do chocolate, but perhaps can we do menthol? Because you see that some men when they smoke, they lick tom tom, or So this is where creativity comes in, where you have to be creative. If they say,
I
okay, so
get.
you can't throw events because your private events, because again minors will
Yeah.
come. Could you have events where beforehand the RSVP, it's a small group, it's a closeted group. You already know who is coming in. You have
So that
security
you can
controls. So you can
show up
still
your
show.
greatness.
Exactly. So you have to
And
be creative. You cannot just say, oh no, it can't be done and that's it. No. No business ever grew
I
thinking that way.
I like this angle that you brought about creativity, and I want to share a little bit on that. Even what I feel an affinity with lawyers, and because when I was young, they all thought I was going to be a lawyer. I used to talk a
You
lot,
still do?
and I used to write. So my parents just felt that with the whole literary skills, I was going to be a lawyer. But I also used to create things with my hands. I used to make little models and all of that. Anyway, long story short, I just, there's a lot of similarity between law and architecture, maybe because they are professions. But I also know that in architecture, you're not allowed to advertise. And it's completely against the law, like not the law, but the ethics of the
Okay.
profession, right? You cannot advertise. And I always used to wonder why can't I advertise? And they say because some people may have more money to advertise than others, and so they may get all the clients, and the other one will be hungry. That instead, let your work speak for you. And I always thought, oh, that's so dumb. But anyway, because that is there, and it's part of professional ethics. You've written the exam, you have been certified according to those laws and rules. You can't just jump around it. But guess what? We found ways to be creative, right? So architects have found ways to be creative. You can't even put a signboard in front of your office. Like, is that bad? They have literally a size that your signboard is supposed to
Like
be.
it's really small.
So now, what have people done? So you can become creative by, you won't go and advertise that I'm an architect. Oh, I'm an architect, my designer. No, but you can talk about your work. You can teach about architecture.
Yeah.
You can, just organize. So all of those things bring people to you, and they're like, oh,
It's
that
all
is really smart.
visibility. That's all that
You understand?
matters.
That is really smart.
Yeah.
She really wants to design my house. I didn't advertise it. Did you see me boosting ad on Instagram? Hello? I didn't, So it's always good to think around the book, think around the work.
You
And,
have to be
when
creative.
you were talking earlier, you were talking about, going to industries where you can make more money. I worked in architecture firm for years. And I think why I did that was because I wanted to really get the crux of the profession, so understand it. Even while I was there, after my first firm, the second one I went to, the one I was talking about, was a really large firm. I knew very quickly that I didn't want to draw. Like I would be able to live the rest of my life without ever drawing a building, But I found that the thing that I really like to do was, I'm a people's person. I'm an organizer. I found that I was able to find my strengths in project management. So immediately decided to send me to projects. So I was happy to do it, right? I would, because my firm was very large, there will be somebody who will do the first design, somebody will do the second one, then they will now hand it over to me, I'll take it to site. And there I would come into my elements. Like I would be doing all the work. So anytime they had a really difficult client, they also found out that I was good with people. Sometimes they have a really difficult client, say, give it to Brenda. If they had a project that had a very tight timeline, to say give it to Brenda. So I now formed my own niche, even inside that big company. You know, where it was not like well, this project is like give it to Brenda. So somebody is having a problem on their own site with a difficult client. They're like, call Brenda in. I just went to one of the projects one day and I saw the woman. It was a woman. You know, normally I always feel better with men because I just don't know the charm. But this was a woman. I was like, hey, girl, where did I start? And the woman was already vexed. She was upset with the company. She said, I don't want to see one more person from that company. I said, hello, ma. Good afternoon. I'm so nice to meet you. You look so pretty today. She looked at me like, what?
And then
I said, okay. I said, just tell me. I said, I'm here to solve your problems. Tell me what it is that you do. What exactly is irking you the most? She started showing me, is this, is that? I said, okay, good. So, you know what? I'll get it all sorted out. I have a list now. I know what to do, but you need to give us some time. No, I don't have time. I need to move into this house. I said, but I would be lying if I told you that you can get into this house by 12 time. I don't want you to get even angrier with us. So I'm going to give you the realistic time in which you can get this work done. I took realistic time. I added 2 weeks on top.
Exactly.
For my own hand. Do you understand? So it was exactly. So I managed her. What do you call it? Her expectations, and I got the job done. By the time I was done, the woman is still calling me today. Like we're now besties. So
exactly.
It's very easy, but I always say that people should work with their strengths, right? Work with their strengths. And professions like architecture and law give you a myriad of opportunities. There's a number of things you can do with a degree in law, a number of things you can do with a degree in architecture. Don't keep yourself on one straight path and say, hey, this is what everybody's doing, so I must do it. No. You know, no.
Exactly.
Use your personality, use what you like, your passions and everything to find your own lane. And you'd be surprised what you can find down there. Today, I'm not even in architecture again. Like I've carried myself to real estate because that's where the money is.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. And it's very important that you need to keep track of trends in your industry, so that you're not. We live in a world that is very fast paced. A lot of what I'm doing now is on corporate sustainability. 10 years ago, sustainability was a nice to have, was a fad. But now you need to have it, and you need to have it done properly. And so, companies are sitting up because everything is intertwined. It's linked to financing, it's linked to investors. You have to, it's in your face.
The project I'm doing now, where there was a lot of sustainability check. You know how normally when you have big project, the government looks up. Hey, excuse me, where's your ESIA? So we had to do an ESIA, we got consultants, and we thought that was this. We've gotten the certificate. They started coming. There was monitoring, and I was surprised. I was like, in this Lagos, hello, are people really doing their work? So I was really surprised at the level of, and this is in Lagos. So it is a big deal now.
It is. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so just to finish running on the qualities of you also need to have decision-making skills. There are some people that are very comfortable sitting on the fence because they don't want to offend, they don't want to take hard decisions. This actually comes to the territory.
And they don't.
There'll be times when you take
when it goes wrong.
Nice. Yes. You should be bold enough to take decisions that may not be so nice. It comes with territory. It's part of the job. What is important is that you are objective, you are reasonable, and you believe in what you're saying. You're able to defend and justify what you're saying. Other than that, there's no reason why you should not be able to. There are some people that they'll be in a meeting. What do you think? Oh yes, then what you just said. If somebody says something else, oh yes, that sounds good.
You always agree with
everybody. This is very nice. Where are you? It's okay to be the lone voice in the room, but at least be bold enough, be confident enough.
Conviction.
Yes, and be able to articulate it to others. And then finally is the ability to drive results. There's nothing as important as all of these things we've said. You're a good leader. You're all of this. If your results are not tangible, because don't forget, businesses are set up.
They have to make profit.
They have to make profit. That's why we have performance discussions at the end of the year. We need to see what your small pool has contributed in the large river, no matter how small it is. So you have to be able to drive results. And the onus and the responsibility on a leader is even higher, because you show that you have driven results, you've also driven your team as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
So it's not about you now. So it's more about not just you. If you are a leader whose direct reports are always disgruntled, they're unhappy, they cannot approach you, they're stuck in the rut, you are disconnected, you have not driven any results. Because no, think about it, if there are about 5 people and they're all unhappy, they're probably not giving their best, the business will suffer
You
because
would
those 5 people did.
see. Yeah, it
So
will be obvious.
the performance is directly linked to you as a line manager. And so these are some of the skills that you need to have at the back of your mind, that these are life skills that you need. You will need them daily in your position if you get to the C-suite, or if you're already there, in that position. Now, to the meat of the day, how do
we
you
plan?
aspire? How
do
do
we
you aspire to
How do we
perspire?
aspire to perspire?
How do you aspire to perspire? So, we started to run through some of them already. The first is have a clear goal in mind. Really, what's your goal? What do you want to? What I mean, you can study Yoruba and decide. Okay, you know what? Actually, I want to be a professor somewhere. You don't have to. I mean, there are many stories about people not doing what they studied, people that have done a complete 360 and turn around from what they studied, and they're thriving. So it doesn't really matter, whether you want to go to a line that no longer works for you. You can always get off the bus and get on another bus. Now, so it's very important to have a goal, have it, and have that goal from the beginning. Don't say, let me start first, I'll see how it goes. It usually takes you longer. You can still get there. It will take you longer. You might be distracted, but when you have a goal and you have
don't have
written
direction.
it and you are convicted about your goal, that's what will be pushing you, because you know that I have to. I have to. So have that goal, identify it. Once you have it, then really critically analyze where you are. Just okay. So if my goal is to be a vice president in my office right now, I'm a director, so the next level is, if I want to be a vice president, I need to first decide. Okay, so how can I get to being a vice president? Where am I now? I'm at the director level. Okay, so between director and vice president, how many groups do I need to join? Then you start to watch the people that are in that position. That is your goal. Watch them, study them, follow them, ask them for mentorship, run around them, pay them to teach you, to share their experience honestly. And this is where I feel that we women, I think we shortchange ourselves. A lot of us, and again, I can't really blame women, because in this part of the world, there's a lot that women are actually doing. Many women are almost like, even though they are married, they're almost like the sole parent in terms of actual day-to-day parenting. It's the fact. So by the time you think about, and it's you're at work, you're thinking of lunch, you're thinking about bed, you're thinking of school runs, you are actually tired. And so this is where, again, you need to have the goal, because it might be that if your kids are really young, you might actually maybe need to just decide, the next 2 years, I'm not going to be ambitious or anything. I'm just going to be going to work and collecting my salary. And that's also a goal. That is a plan.
Yes.
Because you can think, okay, you know what? This next, if I get a manager position right now, will I be able to do it? Or will I be going to my boss every day? Yes, sir. My data is immunization. Maybe not. So this is you being real with yourself. You need to be real with yourself. So, okay, you know what? In 5 years, I'll be ready. But what you can do in those 5 years is start getting ready. Take a course. Research.
Do a degree.
You
An
exactly
degree,
for
something
professional
somewhere.
mentors. If you are not currently in the line that you want to be, start to prepare towards it. If you are in the line, start following the trends. Start following the thought leaders in that line. It would really help to prepare you, go for meetings, read, find out what's going on, be on top of what's going on. So even if you're in a room, if all you have to do is just to contribute one word, make it pack a punch. Make it be something that, it will leave them, yourself. Exactly. Exactly. So you upskill to close any gaps you have, whether it's via training, education, mentorship, sponsorship, blah, blah, blah. You do all of that. And then you also need to be real with yourself. You can't say, okay, I'm an associate today, or I'm an entry level, and in 5 years I want to be a VP.
Hello, ma. Is that how they do it?
Unless it's your father's company, I don't think that's
Perhaps.
going to happen.
Perhaps.
So you have to be very, very real with yourself. You have to be real with yourself. You need
Mhm.
to say, okay, so this is what I need to do per time. This is how long it would take. These are the things that I need to do. But it's nice to put a timeline, so you can say, okay, maybe 10 years, whatever, 7 years. But be reasonable. Well, that's
Yes.
the point here.
And that's the thing about goals. You know, when we teach about goals, we say it must be
Yes,
specific, it must be measurable,
goals,
it must be achievable, it must be realistic, and it must be time bound. So you're saying all of these things now, and I'm just, seeing everything come together because one, you're
yeah,
specific about what you want to be, right? I want to be a VP. It's measurable because you know that you know what it takes to get to it.
yeah,
It's achievable because hello, I'm in the line. This is my type of people that they put there, but it will take
exactly.
me time, right? And then you have to be realistic about the timing that you're giving yourself to actually achieve that, and then time bound, like you said, put a time to it,
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
allow yourself. And I like what you said about being real with yourself and even allowing sometimes to coast when you have
yes,
children, little children, because I always find that some people struggle with and this life, there's something my mother told me that's never left me. You can't tell the time with another person's clock. You can't. You don't sit down and say, see my mates, my mates are here,
doesn't matter. No.
hello, everybody's running their own
Yeah,
race, right? You don't care about your age mates, your classmates, or whatever mates. It's
yeah,
not your business. Look at your
yeah,
own realistic situation
yeah,
and make a decision based on your situation.
yeah,
Right? Because if you just sit down and be thinking, hey God, is it not my mates that is here? Me, I'm still here.
yeah,
You will just die young.
yeah. And
You will die.
the professional world is also closely linked to your private life, your marriage, especially for women. One thing I found out is when you are making a move from a local employee, being like working in your country or working in the place that
Yeah.
you're a citizen of that place, and progressing into an international or global career, it's a huge change. And so if you are single, then you can carry your bag and leave.
Feel free.
But if you are married, whether or not you have children, you better discuss it very well with your spouse.
Oh, you must. You
Because
have to. You have
even
to.
when you discuss every single day for 5 years
There's
before the day,
a
the
question
reality
every
is
day.
very, very different. And
I can
so it's
imagine.
also I don't know what the statistics or the data is specifically regarding this, but I know that a lot of marriages they fail in the first 2 years when you make such a it's such a huge change. And so if as a woman, and I say this to say if as a woman you know that your husband is not going to be supportive, you need
Perhaps
to
you will
prioritize.
change your
You
dream.
need to prioritize what is more important to you.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's very, very factual.
We
You
have
need to
to
prioritize
be realistic.
because one thing you also don't want to do is get into that position and you are not available. You are not present. You are bogged down by life issues because maybe you don't have a lot of support or because the truth is our men are also egotistical. And so
They
it takes a strong
they
man to be
will
able to
judge
say, you know
you.
what, babe, go and fly. I'm behind you. Most people, even if they're friends to say, are you foolish? You're at home washing plates. So you have to know your personal situation. And this was an advice I got early on in my career. When I was leaving Dangote, my boss, she's late now. She used to be sort of like, I thought she was very aloof. She would just be, was a society woman. So she used to attend parties with them, Itagiwa, you see her on Ovation, newspapers and everything. She really didn't have time. Again, these are the perks of being
A big
C-suite
C-suite
girl. Just come
executive.
in the morning, have you done this? Have you done this? Is it okay? Is it okay? Make me look good. She's going to do her nails and her face and her hair and going for party. So I felt that I didn't get a lot of connection with her, but she was watching me. So when I went to say to her, okay, you know what, I'm leaving. I left Dangote for SAP. It's also a multinational. It's like Oracle, a software company. I said to her, okay, you know what, I was so excited. I'm leaving. My salary was like 400%. Of my salary.
The happiness will be different.
Real man, but I have to go.
I gotta go.
And then she sat me down and said, okay, you know what? I'm very happy for you, but I hope you've really thought about this very well. Because as at that time, I had 2 kids. I just had my second child. He was 6 months old. And this was a role that I was going to be managing Africa, excluding South Africa, every other place in Africa.
Wow.
So there was going to be a lot of travel. There was going to be a lot of work, to be done. And so she was saying to me, "Are you really sure that, because your child is young and blah, 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 blah." It was actually one of the reasons why I ended up leaving as well, because they then wanted me to sit in South Africa. And I'm like,
No bottom.
I don't South Africa. My mom lives like 5 minutes away from me. I literally just bathe the children in the morning, dump them there, go to work,
That's
eat them,
supposed
would
to
have had their bags
priceless.
left, where am I going to get this? And I had to take that decision because I could see that although the company was a good one, it is a good one, they were not willing to be flexible enough. And so that's why again, this is another point where you need to know when to jump ship. You need to know when a company or a situation is not serving you. If it's not serving you, there are plenty more fishes in the ocean.
I find that women, sorry to cut you there, I find that women are very reluctant to jump ship, right? Women are the kind of people that when companies are doing long-term service award, these women that are there, they don't go anywhere. Once they just enter somewhere, they are paying them okay, the boss is not shouting too much, they will be there, they will die there. Why can't we move? So and this is not me advocating for non-loyalty.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, my first place was 3 years, second place 7 years, so I'm a loyal person.
Be selfish about yourself.
But the truth of the matter is that once a place is no longer serving you, please feel free to move. You are not a tree, move. Yeah. It's not your father's business, it's not your husband's home. Yes. Move. Do you understand? And I think that it's really critical. When you talked about having a little child and thinking about it, okay, for me, when I was interviewing for my role, I had 2 different offers at the time. So the first one, when I interviewed for it, and why I didn't take it was simple. It was the vice president role, it was a higher role than the one that I currently am in, but it was a traveling role. And I was like, hello, my husband's already traveling. Who is going to look after 4 children? 2 of us will now be on the road. Who will look after the 4 children? Are you joking? I said, thanks, but no thanks. I will not be doing this.
Well, guess what? 5 years time, if something
I'll be free.
Comes up, of course, because the kids are growing. All the things that we need to think about as well. Yes. So sorry to interrupt you, but I really just validate what you were saying, that it's very important because you need to be real with yourself. Honestly, you need to realize what season are you in your life.
Yes.
Are you looking after a sick child or a sick parent, and then you want to take a job that you're going to be available for?
Why?
No. So you really need to know yourself. And as you also said, they don't catch latecomers anywhere. What I've also found working now in the abroad is there are people that are in their 50s and they are in entry-level roles.
Wow.
And comfortable with it, they're fine. That's where they want to be. For them, it's okay. Of course, the reality is different from ours because you live in a system where the social benefits are there. You're not thinking of one body, somebody. Lights. So if for some people, if you put on the lights in the morning, it comes on, you open your tap, there's water, you can pay your fine. But here where you even have to generate your own water and light yourself. No. But you still need to know where you are. If you know that you're not going to add value, if you know that you're going to devalue yourself, because the worst thing that can happen is to take something before you are prepared for it. If you do that, it's going to cast a blight on you. You're going to have to work doubly hard to get back up because first you've taken a beating. And so if you're also, and women are very sensitive and emotional, if you've taken a beating, you're emotional, you're sensitive about it, the chances that you will not even want to try again because you'll be so, disappointed in yourself. So it's very important. And for women in the workplace as well, you have to be professional. And often organization, professional setting is not the place where they give feedback, you go into the bathroom, you are crying and shouting. If you want to cry at home.
Who cares? Who cares about your feelings?
And scream in your
Pack them very well and go and cry.
Know how to take feedback and criticisms. That being said, there is the fact that, if we're still being honest, women are still not given enough chances as men. So you have to have a thick skin as well. You might be in rooms where they'll say, give her the supporting role. Speak up in a nice way. Be polite about it. Don't be known as someone who cannot have a reasonable conversation. You don't need to speak with your voice raised. Even if you take yourself out of the room. I always say, if someone is patronizing you and you know that it's going to get you are aggravated, go on, lock the door, take yourself out and have a conversation.
Calm down.
That is calculated, that is strategic. And a lot of these notions that women, they can't do it because they expect you So you don't want to feed into that box, that
Ah,
expectation. Already expected as a woman, you will come and cry.
eh.
You use it as a leverage. I'll give a personal example. So he
Okay.
was ill in November. Yeah,
Mm.
he was ill and he was admitted for a little almost 2 weeks.
Okay.
And my husband. So I was in a new job, in a new
Mm.
where English is not the general language, with a
Mm.
child that is ill and hospitalized, with two other ones that are not ill and had to go to school. And I
Ah.
knew that the easiest solution really would
Mm.
have been, you know what, let me just leave work and focus on the child, you know. But I also realized that if I had gone to tell my boss that, guy, my son is not feeling well, and I need to, he would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But they almost expect it. And so for
Mm.
me, the first thing that came to my head was, can I make this work first?
Mm.
Because safety first, your child should come first,
Yeah.
ordinarily. So, okay, this child is in the hospital. Is he getting all the help and the support he needs medically? Yes. Okay. Is there a way that I can still continue to add value and prove because I'm still proving myself, when you're in
At
a
this point,
job,
you are new in there.
they're smiling at you, but they're looking at you. So
Mm-hmm.
I still continue to prove myself and show that I'm a person of value? And I thought about it. Okay, so we have this work from home policy that allows you to stay 50-50. You can work from the office or from there. Can I carry? I know we're using an old school television computer. I have a laptop. So that means I can take it to the office. I am not the doctor treating the child. So
Mm-mm. You just need to sit down there.
that means I can sit down in the
Mm-hmm.
room and do the job. And that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what. And in those 10 days, I had two major presentations with two different regions, people in America. In fact, there was one time I had to beg the nurses. I chased them out of the office to say, please, I have a meeting. I have a presentation. You need to leave your office for me, I did.
Oh wow!
No,
What women have to go
but I
through.
did it. And it wasn't until I think the 10th day I told my boss about I just randomly said it to him because I think I had a call with him. I turned on my camera and of course the hospital, the children's
The
ward. So they
background.
had like exactly. Then they
They say,
had
where are you?
murals on the wall. They had and it was where are you? And then I said, oh no, I just was till today. I spent my work today. He still talks about it. But in
Mm.
such a positive way, he's so impressed. And he kept saying that if you had come to me to say you want something, I would have given it to you. But the fact that without really straining, because it's not like I went to work with, I showed up at work meetings with eye bags and I was crying. No, I was myself,
You show up
but
well.
he,
Show up and show up good.
yes, but he was just so impressed. So this is something that I feel that we women, we are so quick to focus on
To
others.
take all the
Oh, I'm not
excuses
even
and cry.
yeah,
Oh, I'm
oh,
a
this
woman. I'm
oh, this
helpless.
doesn't even leave it, Jerry. They'll probably even say no. But
You know.
push,
You
push
know.
through the
I really, 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 really like that point you just made, and this is something that I personally have had to go through. So of course, when I was in core architecture, that's a male-dominated field. So in my office then, I was the only among the management staff. I was the only one who was married with children. The only female who was married with children. The only other female, she was unmarried yet. So the others were guys, right? So and every time they were waiting for me to take the excuses, right? And all of us we meet in management meeting and they will be waiting for me to be the one to take the excuses. Oh, no, you can't catch me. I will not be the one.
exactly.
I was never there. And I learned this very early because when I first joined that company, they had tried to say to me that I shouldn't, that I won't be able to take any maternity leave for the first 2 years. I said, why? When I'm married, we let them husband went to pregnant me or went not to. Please stop it. So I refused that clause. Then I said, okay, if I do fall pregnant, then they won't pay me for maternity if it's before the first 1 year. I said, whatever. In my head, I was like, whatever, get out. But I did fall pregnant like the very next month. Like it was not. I don't even know how it happened, but it was so funny. And but the God that would save me was that the HR that negotiated that with me actually left before I had my baby. So I don't know how somehow whether they didn't check because I don't think it was a normal clause in their contract, so they didn't notice.
It was probably just
They start paid me.
because it's actually not legal. See,
Do you
it's not
understand?
right.
So they start paid me. After paying me the 3 months, apparently it was when I was coming back, when I was going to resume that they now said, "Come on, what is this? How did we pay this girl? This kind of thing." In fact, my boss, they were so angry, like, in fact, what? Sack her. I was like, sack her. So I didn't even know. So the new HR then was a guy that had 3 daughters,
So
was
you
just,
could
so favorite women. So he called me on the phone and said, "You know what? You're about to resume now. You know, I had to, argue with management because they were going to sack you and all of that. And I made a case for them to say, you've already paid her the 3 months. You better let her come back and work the money. No point sacking her now." So he was like, okay, okay, okay. And he said to me that, you know what you need to do for me? You need to show up
Yeah.
and show up good.
Make
You see, just because
them regret ever considering.
just don't let them even say, were we thinking of? And I said, I got you, sir, let's go. So I was at work and I was at work. I mean, if they would say, oh, people were coming late, it would never be me. If people were turning in work
Where
late, it would never
many
be me.
women miss it.
Yes.
You could have gone to work and start carrying face and start working.
I was showing up, and in 1 year,
making it easier for them to sack you.
exactly. And I mean that I was already giving expo. Am I now foolish? In 1 year of coming back, I was made management staff. In 1 year. The next thing they said to me, they were throwing work my way. And the only time I got any particular, help was there was a time I lost a pregnancy, and I had to take time off work and everything. By the time my boss heard, he was like, "Hey, you didn't tell me. Please, let that never happen again. If in fact, as soon as you are pregnant, just let me know. I will just remove you from all the stressful sites. You will not go to site again. You work from office." I was like, "Oh God, calm down." He said, no. Hey, Jesus, as in the drama was a lot. So I was like, so that was the only time that I actually got special treatment. And I think maybe because it was a major thing. And so I used to always say to people, so before I would take time off work, by the time I'm taking the time, you said, like, go.
Will give you double.
They'll like,
Exactly.
Go. Because under strenuous circumstances, I've been there. I've showed up. I've done all the things. My daughter was doing a surgery one time. I was at work. As in, I carried my laptop. I was in the hospital. I told my boss, I said, I will be working from home this period. This is why. I said, that's fine. I sat down there. I was taking meetings. I was doing everything. You don't even know that something happened to somebody.
And that's
because
honestly, that's it.
Why do you?
Because the higher you go, that's it. There are so many unwritten rules. But you need to be emotionally wise and mature to know. No one is going to say, because you're ill. No, but it will count if you do it. And you're not even doing it because it will count. You're doing it because it's a nice thing to do. But guess what? It always works out. This role that I'm in right now, I didn't even interview for it. I'm going to be honest with you.
Wow. You have not told us how you entered this role. Hey, God. In fact, I thought this just have to finish. Oh, yeah, quick.
I did not interview for this position. So while I was in Nigeria, I was, as I said, I worked as a legal director. But in one of those years when I was there, JTI as a company had a global overview perspective, the way that they were strategically working towards sustainability. And it was quite strategic for them at that time. What they were doing was anything that had to do with corporate sustainability was done at the HQ level. They didn't do it at the market level, at the countries. And then when this was like maybe some 10 years ago, and then I think about maybe 4 years ago, they then saw that it's no longer a trend. You actually have to entrench it in your business, in all the facets of the business. So through the GM, the Nigerian GM we had then, we were at the meeting, the management meeting, and then he says, "Oh, you know what? Now JTI decided to take a different approach and different strategy. They're no longer going to run corporate sustainability from the HQ. They want to replicate it in the markets. They call it markets, the countries. And so for Nigeria and West Africa, who is going to be the person who is going to lead it?" I've just always liked the idea of sustainability. So without even there, I'll do it.
Volunteering.
Nothing. So he says, "Oh, okay, good. Someone sends me an email, I'll just send it to him, and then you guys can talk." Based on that, I launched a lot of initiatives, started the projects, did a lot of goals, how water waste, paper waste. I celebrated Sustainability Week. Did a lot, and just randomly, 4 years later, my then line manager just sent me a message one day. Did you ever do something on sustainability? I said, "Oh yes." Even me, I was so offhand about it. Like, "Oh yes."
One time.
Oh yeah. Sustainability, yes. And then she went, "Oh, okay. Just send me like a line." Even me, so I just said, "Okay, so in Nigeria and West Africa, I did it. It was like 2 paragraphs. That was it. 2 weeks later, someone writes to me from the HQ to say, "Oh, there's a position. Would you be interested?" I looked at that guy. Is that a question? Are you joking?
Is this a play?
It's mine.
Are you playing?
Yes, I'm interested in all of that. So that was it. They didn't I didn't apply for the position. I interviewed for it, but I did not apply for it. So it was just based on that. And when I did, I remember that during the interview, it was a panel of about 4. They were all vice president. They were all poker faced. You know, I had the conversation. They were just looking, and I kept,
you don't even know whether you're hitting the right spot or not.
So
I know.
Okay, I did this, I did that, I researched JTI, you know, yeah, we did. I was okay. I would finish this movie.
Give me a reaction. Come on, guys.
Guess what? It was actually the talk. Because, you know, when I later, when my now line manager called me to say I got the position, he said, you know, the gap between you and other candidates was so much. You said so much. You knew so much. You were just talking. And, you know, this is the point. This is my final point. Sell yourself. Hype yourself. If you are rooms with Caucasians and you say, tell me what you've done last year. If you give them the chance, they will talk for a week. What it is about us Nigerians.
We'll be giving summary, a brief summary.
I want some, if I just see someone in my work and I say, your own work, what you have done. And so for me, one thing I've learned, and I use it, I will advise anybody who's in a professional place to do is have the way you have journals for your Bible, the way you have journals for your thoughts, have a journal for your work achievement. Because what?
I love it.
Most companies always have performance discussions once a year. I work for a company that
so get your data from there.
We have these discussions twice a year. We will have media review at the end of the year. But
yes.
most people, because they have already forgotten, in December when you have the conversation, you're only talking about the things you did in December. Forget January to so from January, have that journal just for your work achievements. In January, if you made an impact in January, right? Even if it's only one, January 2024, I did this and this.
And
February, when you are having that conversation at the end of the year,
unless you said you're keeping for yourself,
by the time
you be like
describing, putting data, putting dates, that's all people need.
Numbers.
There's no way. So you need to curate it. You need to be deliberate about yourself. Curate it. Register, hype yourself.
I love it.
Increase your visibility within your natural sphere. So for me, one of the strategies was to get a sponsor because I knew you need to understand the way your organization also works. How this performance, we have what they call calibration in JTI, where by the time your line managers complete your performance appraisals, then the head, they all sit in the room where you obviously will not be discussing one. You need be beyond your line manager.
Somebody
you need to have another
in that for you.
That's so when they mention your name, because I've also been in and I've seen it play out. That's when the light bulb went off in my head. At my level, when we had the calibration for our direct reports, I realized that the people that have been pushed forwards were people that once you mention their name, Brenda, I know her, yeah, she did that project. Immediately think,
like, wow.
What people talked about her. And then they say Mo. Only they're like, oh yeah, Mo is good. And then nobody can say anything.
Nobody else speaks.
You have just
how do you move forward?
You have that's literally how it works.
Wow.
Go with the people that have you are visible, they can feel your impact, people know you, people can speak for you, people can actually articulate what the value that you add. Those are the things that will help. So start by yourself, hyping yourself, look for a sponsor, be deliberate about your career. If where you are doesn't serve, if you need to volunteer, if you need to work late, if you need to take a pay cut, if you need to do a lateral move, you are the one who knows what you want because it will pay off in future. It will pay off. But you need to be able to put put in the work.
You need to start by seeing what you want to do. You know, you have to have a vision of where you're going. When you have a vision of where you're going, you need to bring it down to what's the goal and the step by step. What do I need to do this year? What do I need to do next year? In the next 5 years? What will I be in 10 years? You know, and then be deliberate.
And say it. Any chance you get, say it out. There's no use for any information that's only in your head. Not going to help anyone. If the information is that you are just carrying up and down, giving yourself a headache, say it out at forums.
I'm interested in
forums where people are the kind of people put yourself in their path. Honestly, what people do to further their career, you will know that we
are playing.
We're very ambitious, but smart. We just there are people that have 5 masters, but they are still collecting 100,000 naira. What's the point of this
What's
master?
the point of
But
the
that
masters?
they would go and sit down with their boss, guy. This is what I want to do, and that's also why how you will know whether there's any future for you in a particular place. When you're in a place where your boss is not going to move and is the one sitting, you might have to actually move out from that organization or move out from that team
Because
some
yes,
bosses
yes.
are really mean, and no matter you can do all of these things and they'll just be like,
There's no
when you're done,
future for
you will
you.
share me, I'm sure here, you know. So you might. This is why you need to know yourself, and you need to know whether
Where you're going.
why are you in the organization where you are. Also, why are you there? Is it because you feel that okay, this level, this season, my planting season, this is the season where I need to learn. This is the season where I need to build capacity and expertise. You might just for that, knowing that there's no opportunity for growth. My first job was in a law firm. I did not even have a bank account. My boss used to give me my salary in my hand because it was 10,000 naira.
Because what's the point of going to the
What are
bank?
you opening an account for? With
Oh my
10,000
goodness.
at the end of the month, at this point, I was already called to bank. I was saving. So
My
it
first
wasn't like it was
my
a
first
job.
salary was
10K.
how much? Mine was like maybe is it 26K or something? One ridiculous amount.
Yeah, yeah, me.
Sister, with my
Open and watch
master's
it
degree.
and count 10,000 naira and give it to me at the end of the month. You know, but the experience I got there, honestly, I wouldn't for the world.
Is it
So
not the place I'm telling you that they gave me to go and sit in
exactly.
front of me? Go and chair a whole meeting.
Go and do it. I don't know you. I don't care to know. Just go and do it. Get it done.
Yeah.
You know, so you might actually have to stick it out too. In places
Yes.
that's where you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to collect this 10K for 2 years because I know that what I'm going to get. My next job, because truly, my next job after 10K was 120K.
Are you there? Me too. What I moved from there to a 150K job. Like when I told my boss I'm going, the guy was like, "Go with my blessing. I can't match it."
So it's also not, oh no, my mates are, no. You need to see where you need to be able to get that value. All this value that we're talking about, it's almost tangible. You can almost taste it. If you do not practice it, if you do not do the job, if you do not put in the effort, you will not. So you need to understand the season where you are. And it doesn't matter. You may have graduated 20 years ago, but you've been in the front and you actually don't have the value. Be truthful to yourself. If I get a director position today, will I be able to do it? If the answer is no, go and do what you need to do, what needs to be done to be able to get it before you start chasing it.
I have a question for you. Thank you. This has been an amazing conversation. Like I didn't even expect the direction you have carried us to, but I love it. Thank you so much. Please, if you guys have questions, just start typing it because only me will finish all the questions today. If you don't ask your question, you are just going to be playing. I have a question for you. So, as somebody like me, there was a point in my time in my life when I stepped back from the career world, right? I stepped back and for some years I stayed back to do stuff on my own. I think it was about 4 years. And when I needed to re-enter the space, I needed to re-enter the employment space. I didn't even know that a lot had changed in Nigeria in 4 years. And I think that's why it's good to be spiritual. I think God just directed me because I was just sitting on my own chilling, like what's going on around here. And it was literally in COVID time. Okay, yes, I knew that's what happened. It was COVID and my business had slowed down because like everybody else in COVID and somebody now threw out
A job offer.
a vacancy. And I thought, what's there? Let me just see. So it was interesting how I got this job. The first one I saw was, VP of a real estate company. They want this, they want 15 years experience in architecture, engineering, something in the construction field. I was like, I can do this now. Come on. As I started, like, but the thing they said is that they wanted a single person. I was like, why do you not want a married woman? I will be 15 years experience and I'll be single. Are you really praying for my progress? Do you understand? I was like, these people are not good people. And they said it was a woman-owned business, and they were looking for a woman. So you wanted a woman with that criteria, and the person should not be married. I said, you are the real world people. So I had seen that advert and I'd laughed. And I said, justice for married people, married people's lives matter. And I'd laughed and I left it. Someone said, apply, you never know. I said, I beg, what nonsense, they should get out. So like some weeks after, and that's another opening and said, they wanted a project manager for a luxury estate. They were doing this, doing that. The office is in Ikoyi, the site is in Lekki. I was like, Hello, this is within touching distance from me now. If I need to go back to work, it has to be something simple and easy like this. He said, and I said, I like it. Let me. So I asked the guy, I said, can I have more information? He said, well, is this company that go and send me your CV? So I went back and I had to go and polish my CV because almost 4 years of out of work. I had to start putting in stuff, arranging the thing, write a nice cover letter because as the writer that I arranged myself. Then after I did it, I was like, it's such a nice, cover letter, a nice CV. Why not send it to more than one person? Like, hello. So I now went to that VP role and sent it to them, as well as this other guys. Do you know who first responded? VP role. The recruiter responded, they said, my goodness, when we saw your CV, we were so pumped up. Like, can you have an interview now? I was like, now? Like, yeah, like right away. Like, we've been finding it so hard to fill this role. I said, why won't it be hard? You want 15 years experience woman that is not married, wicked people. And I laughed and I said, okay, no problem, I'll have an interview. So it was a virtual interview. And they now started to ask me questions like, what do you do and all of that. So when I had seen the role, I didn't even know anything. Like I said, I'd been out of work for like 4 years. They had written that the pay was maybe 600K or something like that. Do you understand? And in my head, it was like, I did not even know what was happening. I just felt 600K because my last job was like 350K. Don't you understand? So in my head, 600K is not bad money. I didn't think about it. So when they were asking me, so how much would you like to earn? And I said, 500,000. The man was so angry with me. Recruiter, so angry with me. She's like, what's really wrong with you? I said, I don't understand. I was like, she said, have you seen your CV? I said, yes, I've seen my CV. She said, would you like me to read it out for you? I said, I don't. I was not thinking that I've offended her. She said, okay, I should wait first. That if I was a man and I had this CV, can I think for a minute how much the man would have asked for this role? And I said, I don't know, maybe 1.2 million. She said, oh, so your head can conjure 1.2 million, but somehow you don't think that you deserve it. Hey, I was cold like this. I was like, but the role said they want to pay 600. They said, if you now can say they want to pay 600, you now say 1,500. You know what, you end up with 300.
450.
I was like, she said 300. Yeah. I was like, oh, she said, that's how it works. He said, I'm so tired of women and this, imposter syndrome. Feeling like, he said, this is why we've not been able to fill this role. Nobody even thinks they're good enough.
Yeah.
People, and you're here thinking, oh, I have 14 and a half years.
They're like a deer cut in the head.
They go thinking, I have 14 and a half years, I can't apply. Meanwhile, if it was a man, he would come with 10. And he would talk his way through the thing. And he would ask for the bigger money. And you went with everything that you got. Look at your CV. Yeah, asking if she was so angry with that. They were like, I'm like, madam, I'm not understanding. You're supposed to be the recruiter. But it was a turning point for me. And I believe that God orchestrated that because he wanted me to be ready for the real interview for the place I was going to be. Yeah. Because I would have just gone to the house for 500,000. They would have just felt that I probably don't know the work or, or something. Anyway, what now happened, I now we now progressed onto the owners. We now had an interview with the owners of the business, and they now started talking, and they said, oh, I hear that you're married. And I said, yes, I'm married. I said, how many children have you got? I said, 4. They said, you see the way their faces were like. I was like, I'm curious, why did you want a single person? They said, oh, it's a traveling role. I said, oh, never mind, that case, I don't even want it anymore. And I told them why. So we parted ways amicably. Guess what? That company was working as a consultant in the company to me when I took the other room. I was like, look at these people that don't want to pay good money and you're looking for a single woman. Come, let me scatter your head here. But I mean, all that happened was orchestrated for me for my proper interview. Because those other people, they called me and said to me, so can you come? I said, so sorry. It was the year of my 40th birthday. So it was literally the day of my birthday. I said, sorry, I can't come out. It's my birthday. They said, oh, okay, can we have the next 2 days? So the next 2 days was my son's birthday. And I just thought, I cannot come out and say it's my son's birthday again. Don't be stupid. I said, I'll be there. So
you need to find balance and know when.
At a point, I was like, they'll be like, what's wrong with this one? Are you even ready? But when I got to the company, when we had the interview, the interesting part of it for me was that they said they were a family-oriented business. That the person that was on the road before me, her children would come from work and stay with her till it's time to close. They'll come from school. And so I'm like, I said, God, this is what I used to do. I have 4 children. I need children. And interestingly, one of the directors, when I interviewed with her, the first thing she said was like, "I hear you have 4 children. Please, you are hired." You see, that just tells me that you can work under pressure. Say, I have 2, and I'm looking for where to run to. A woman
Yeah.
saying that to me, my heart just went to her like, oh wow, and it just made me know that I was home.
Yeah.
And so I think that we cannot really leave out the spiritual part of things. When you want to do anything, when you make plans, we need to commit our plans to God, and let God direct us. Let God direct us, because sometimes if you're not working with God, you find yourself trying too many places before you land at where you should be.
Yeah.
And with God, we can cut the journey shorter.
Yeah.
Now, I say all this to say, what do you say to a woman who has not been at work? Maybe she took time off work to look after her children, and now she feels like children are grown, they're boarding school or something. She thinks that she wants to step back into the career world. What can she do? How can she create her experience in such a way that it looks attractive to the employers?
I think, first of all, again, some of the things that we already discussed would apply. She needs to understand where she's at and be real with herself.
Yeah.
She needs to identify where she wants. What are her strengths? Those are the things that will save her, especially the strengths that she has used even when she was home.
Yeah.
Because when you say a woman is a stay-at-home mom, she's still working. She's still busy.
It's a lot of work.
Exactly. So this is why I personally feel that when you are interviewing or applying for positions, you cannot and you should not apply for 2 different roles with the same CV. You should never do that. Your CV must be customized for each role.
Absolutely.
Because what you need to do is, for each role, there's a JD. And there must be something in that JD or many things in that JD that you have to marry with your skills.
Experience and skills.
So, and it also makes the interviewer's job easier. If you such a way that they look at it, that all they're going to be asking is just examples for you to demonstrate the things you've said.
Tell us about this experience. Tell us about this experience.
She has to look for a way to say, yeah, and be very open. I have been, home for a year, 2 years, whatever it is. But in those 2 years, I've been and this and this and this. I built such a way. This is why I feel that I'm the most. Put yourself, say it with confidence, put yourself out there. Believe in what you're saying. Research the company. Research friends. Throw in some buzzwords that are very peculiar.
Always works
to that industry or to that company that. Or maybe you know that they are working on the project. Just say, oh, I've been following your business and I know it's good for the ego. Nobody wants to be hyped, and they will definitely sit up and listen to you. I personally do is I watch the body language of the people when I'm in meetings or interviewing with people. I had a GM in Nigeria his favorite phrase would be, treat me like a 3-year-old. I don't want all the big English. I give you what you want. I had a boss that he's so high level, just bullet points. Just tell me, boom, 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 it's done. I will give you. Treat me like a 3-year-old. Trust me, I will sing ABC lullaby.
I will sit down and sing the whole thing to you.
So even you, and you can get that sense when you're interviewing with people as well. You will see people that are relaxed, and you will see people that are very professional. Speak their language. Say what they want to hear. If someone is very professional, very formal, that's what you should present during the interview. What you are saying, kids, just if they are very relaxed as well, throw in some things about your children, about family.
You're right. You're so right, because I remember that interview when I first met the VP at the time. He was the VP that interviewed me. He's now executive director. The first thing he said was, he looked at my CV and said, I'm not going to hold it against you that you went to Queen's College, and in 1990 something they gated me when I came to look for babes at his airport. I just burst out laughing, and that was a perfect icebreaker. The interview was a gisting session. He told me everything about the project. He was like, is this something that would interest you? I was like, I started giving him examples of what I'd done. Next thing, in my front, he called the CEO and said, I think we have a candidate. Can you come? It was COVID time. There was nobody at work. This guy came to work because of me. He called that one lives in Ikoyi and said, I'll be there in how many minutes? He was like, okay, so while we're waiting for him, we continued our gist. He kept on showing me pictures about the project. We talked. I talked about one project I had done. He knew that project. We started talking about it. We started gisting. And it was just a gisting session. When I got to the MD, the CEO, he said, tell me what's not in your CV. I started telling him all the things I'd done in the 4 years I was not at work. I told him I'd written a book. I'd given him a copy of the book. We started to talk about my other passions, and the guy was just looking at me in shock. He said, I'm very sure that my people would talk money with you. I can't wait to have you. And oh, our guests have disappeared. Let me look for her again. So it was really an eye opener for me, honestly, because you find that some of the things that they say about work and all of that are not as things are not normally as serious as they seem. Like she said, find out who the person is and give them what they want. So if you find people are being professional, be professional. If you find they're being playful, you need to show your playful side, because everybody wants somebody. My boss at the time said to me, "Oh, I wanted to be sure you're not a diva." Because we had a diva once and everybody started resigning. I want to be sure that you fit into the culture of the organization. So these are some of the things that they look out for. So show your personality. Do not be afraid to show your personality and your experience. It's very important. So do we have any more questions? I haven't seen you guys' questions before. Oh, Auntie Mofulu has gone off. We'll see if she can join back. If there are any questions, she can type them in the chat now so that we can take them. If there are no questions, we would be rounding up our call today. Please let me know if you can still see me and you can still hear me. Okay, you're there, right? Yeah, I'm trying to add you. Okay. Is our Geneva internet is not answering us? What's happening? Please. Oh, there you are. I said, is our Geneva internet falling our hand?
No, so it's my phone. I switched phones because the battery.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, no, please don't fall our hand. Please, excuse.
No, I'm here.
All right, welcome. Anybody have any questions for our guest? I think she's done a very fabulous job today.
Oh, thank you.
She's taught us so much, and my notes are full. And I'm just like, the people that were helping us describe, God bless you. Thank you. God will help you too.
Thank you.
But basically, I mean, in summary, what she has just said is that you too can aspire for a C suite or V suite or D suite, whatever it is called in your organization. You can aspire for the job of your dreams. Even if you're in a one-man company right now and you don't find C suite there, you can aspire for a global job. You can aspire for anything. I mean, I will definitely be uploading the video. That's part of what we do here. You can always come back and rewatch it. I mean, it's so important to just know what you want.
Yeah.
If you have no plan, you'll be walking around in circles. You'll see people. I mean, my husband was just talking about his friend. The guy is maybe 43 or 44, and he's the MD of Guinness. He said to me, "See, Brenda, that's the first black MD of Guinness. The guy is not even 45." He said, "My goodness." I was like, that is somebody that had a plan.
Yeah.
And
that's it. One day, trust me.
The first time he wanted to get a black person to be MD, it turns out to be a 40-something-year-old boy. Hello, he had a plan. Clearly, he's probably not the most intelligent in his set of people that were employed. He's probably not the most, but he had a plan and he worked his plan. Yeah. So if you do not have a plan and you do not work your plan, you receive anywhere benefice. You receive anything comes. I have a new a team member that joined my team just a year ago. He came to meet me. He came to meet me. He said, "Excuse me, man, appraisal time now, please. I want to ask for you to promote me." I was like, "Wow, what's a wow?"
What
I said, I was like,
"Why? Are you different from others?"
I was first of all speechless, and I recovered and I said, "Oh well, appraisal first of all happens before promotion. How about we go through the appraisal first and then we can have this conversation."
And if you even have a story, it's not just for you to demand. You need to, even if you put in the work, you should also be able to say it out.
It's just how men are. It's just what I'm saying to you. I'm just showing to you how audacious men are.
Yes.
He has this guy. I've reported him to HR like how many times? As in, okay, he does a good job, but he has some areas he has to work on.
Yeah.
So for him to come with the audacity to say to me, "Please, I want to ask you to promote me," I'm like, "Hey, God, what did God put in Eve when he was creating her that makes us like this?"
There, we are just using sentiment, religion, culture, insecurity, imposter syndrome, so many things.
I think that's a conversation for another day. We'll have to come back for this imposter syndrome conversation and how to become, more daring,
Yeah.
more courageous, and all of that. But it's been a very valuable
Thank you
session.
so
I said
much.
to myself that I will not do more than 90 minutes. And so we are on the dot of 90 minutes. And so I want to let you go. I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you for
It's
having
been
me.
a great delight. We've had so much engagement on the call, and I'm loving every
Thank
minute of
you.
it. And I'm sure people will come back and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. I'll be uploading the replay, and I'll be tagging you. I'll also invite you as a collaborator so you can get it on your
All
page
right.
as well.
Thank you so
Well
much. Thank you for
done.
having me. It's
You
been a
did well for your
pleasure.
first live.
Yeah, I have you on that.
You did,
Thank
buddy. Don't
you.
worry.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.